Hello everyone. It is my pleasure to share with you today a developing research project regarding technology in music education classrooms. In this presentation, I will be discussing the importance and need for the study, the purpose and four research questions, a vision of the research design, and finally a vision as to how the data for the study will be analyzed. First, to provide a brief snapshot of the literature review, research shows that for nearly 50 years the field of music education has been seeking to leverage technology tools in music education. By the late 1980s, diffusion grew as music technology hardware became available to the general public, such as cassette recorders, synthesizers, and personal computers. And by the early 1990s, even more significant potential developed for hardware and software implementations in music teaching and learning. However, through all these decades of development to date, only a few researchers, as you see listed here, have investigated the nature of broad music teaching and learning in relation to technology resources. I argue that clear empirical documentation is needed about music educators' perceptions and their comfort level in integrating technology resources. Data regarding the types of technology tools that music educators currently use or desire to implement, the training they have or need to receive, and the obstacles that technology integration faces in music learning settings are all needed to be studied. The purpose of this study, therefore, is to determine the extent to which music educators in K-12 public schools in the state of Illinois integrate technology resources and to describe the nature of those implementations. Specifically, this study will aim to investigate four research questions. First, what types and ways are technology resources used by music educators in Illinois public schools, both away and with their students? Second, what preparatory training and degree of comfort do educators have regarding their integration of technology for the music classrooms? Third, what technology tools, resources, and trends do music educators not currently use yet desire to implement in their music programs? And fourth, what are the obstacles that hinder or prohibit technology integration in music classrooms? In an effort to examine these research questions, a web-based password-protected survey will be administered. Its development will be guided by similar survey instruments, and an initial draft of the survey will be piloted among K-12 certified music educators in a large suburban school district of Chicago. Out of a potential pool of 85 music educators, I hope to acquire at least 35 participants representing varied grade strata, elementary, middle school, and high school, and specializations, vocal, instrumental, and general music, representing 10% of the desired full study sample size. After revisions elicited by the pilot study, the survey questionnaire will be critiqued by 12 certified music educators outside the pilot group who have at least 10 years of teaching experience representing a diversity of grade levels and communities. After revisions from the review board for the full administration of the study survey, membership records including email addresses will be obtained from the 3,500 members of the Illinois Music Educators Association, or ILMEA. From the registered ILMEA database, schools will first be sorted by grade strata, elementary, middle school, and high school, and then clustered within each grade strata by the 9 geographic districts by which ILMEA represents the state of Illinois. Therefore, a total of 27 groups of schools will be generated within which a systematic random sampling process will be applied to acquire 600 potential survey participants, ensuring a geographic and grade level representation within the study. Expecting maybe a 55 to 60% return rate, the target is 350 participants representing varied grade strata and music specializations. Once the survey has been collected and data collated in SPSS, several strategies will be employed to address each of the four research questions. First, the research survey will be quantifying the frequency of music educators' direct and indirect use of particular technologies with their students. The questions and data will distinguish whether the resources are being used by the teacher only, students only, or both, as well as categorize the ways in which they are being used. The primary statistical strategy will be to construct frequency distributions to make comparisons and distribution summaries between the various technology tools employed. Chi-squared and cross-tabulations of the particular technology tools will also be made according to who is using the tool, as well as grade strata, geographic regions, and music specializations. In addressing the second research question, frequency of training sources will be inquired within broad categories of higher education coursework, in-service workshops, and independent interest in learning. Likert-type questions will be inquired as to how prepared music educators feel integrating technology into their instructional designs. Addressing savviness, participants will be rating their levels of comfort or expertise with technology. Since Likert-generated data is ordinal in nature, conclusions derived from median and range will be employed for this research question. Also, application of Spearman's rank order correlation coefficient will be used to ascertain possible correlations between the amount and types of technology training in educators' self-assessed confidence and comfort in classroom implementation. In addressing the third research question, the survey will gauge music educators' familiarity with potential technology resources and will inquire as to their interest for future use. Participants will also be asked to indicate their overall attitude toward the importance of technology integration into their music programs. Once again, since these survey questions will be Likert in nature, central tendency, dispersion, and variance will be summarized by the median, mode, and range, but of course, standard deviation will be difficult to acquire since one cannot assume that respondents perceive all components of the Likert scales to be equidistant. Statistical correlations will be drawn between level of interest and likelihood and timeline of actual implementation. Again, Spearman's rank order correlation coefficient will be applied to assess these non-parametric relationships. Finally, an analysis of types and levels of technology implementation in music classrooms would simply not be complete without an exposure of possible barriers. Built upon previous work by Reed 2014, music educators will be asked to identify and rate the level that the potential obstacles listed here influence their current and planned implementation of technology tools. Instead of Likert-generated data, a continuous line or track bar will be employed, which provides the opportunity to yield interval data. This data will provide more information pertaining to the degree of support or degree of effectiveness and ultimately opens the door to mean and standard deviation as significant analysis tools. Cross-tabulations and correlations of implementation obstacles among the grade levels, geographic regions, and music specializations will be thoroughly analyzed. T-tests will be implemented when comparing 2 samples, while ANOVA will be employed when comparing 3 or more samples. In conclusion, this study is designed to expose and confirm where the field of music education stands with regard to technology incorporation. While one can assume potential and substantial empirical studies on instructional designs and frameworks for best practices is needed beyond the occasional anecdotal reports, this baseline study showing the type and frequency of technology tools and resources that music educators currently and hope to use, as well as the descriptive exposure of important factors of training, comfort, and obstacles is much, much needed. Thank you so much for listening and for your support.